Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I am happy that I have been afforded an opportunity to comment on the votes of the Ministries of Education and Higher Education. Enough has been said on the sums allocated, and it may suffice to say that pluses and minuses would mean nothing if we are not prepared to confront the reality of the present situation in this country today. Unfortunately, I had to rush through my speech for want of time. In his budget speech, His Excellency the President devoted a few lines in para 18 to the education sector. I am tabling for inclusion in the Hansard, due to lack of time, Chapter 1 of the report titled Public Investment 2008-2011, published by the Department of National Planning, spelling out the plans for the education sector. I don't want to devote too much time to what is said there, as some of these are mere political jargon than anything else. We have heard these being repeated on many documents, but very little being done to realize same. I am also tabling for inclusion in the Hansard, Chapter 17 of the annual report of the Auditor General's Department for the year 2007, which critically analyzes the performance of the Education Ministry for the year under review. These critical comments should serve as a catalyst to confront reality in the education sector and push the administrators to bring about change in the way we do things. We are fortunate to have gentlemen of the highest caliber in charge of the subjects who are both approachable, receptive, amenable, able, and above all, honest. I do not pay these compliments to boost your egos, but to stress on the fact that these qualities in you raise the expectations of the public and us, your representatives. These qualities are essential requirements to provide leadership to what we earn for in the field of education, change. To bring about change, we need to confront reality and accept reality. The global economic meltdown, which I attribute in part to the wars being fought in Iraq and Afghanistan, the local economic gloom caused by the colossal cost of the war and the propaganda that goes with it, and the deep ethnic division among us, the Sri Lankans. Continuing from the contribution I made in the recent adjournment motion brought in the House on the problems confronting the education sector recently, I wish to emphasize the fact that what ails our system today is not primarily the lack of infrastructure, but a more critical element, the lack of quality in the administrative system and pedagogical skills. We have today many ministries that are in charge of education in various forms. We must accept that these are interconnected and need to be brought under the broad umbrella of human resource management. The greatest asset to any nation is its human resource, and it's time that we took a hard look at what confronts us realistically and push for meaningful change. Having said this, I must say that the Honourable Minister of Education has taken several measures in the direction of bringing about change, one of which is to appoint a team of eminent educationists to bring forward an Education Reform Act to this House after 60 years of free education. If I were to elaborate, the main obstacle to the improvement of our academic performance has been the quality of our teaching staff and the poor supervision of their work, together with the structuring of the school system. In fact, in my view, and a view held by many, is that we should abolish this system of national schools and provincial schools and revert to the primary school, the junior secondary school, and the senior secondary school, with an emphasis on a healthy student-teacher ratio being maintained in the primary and junior secondary schools in order to build a strong and durable foundation. I am tabling for inclusion in the Hansard, a table I worked out based on the information provided in the budget estimates relating to the number of schools, teachers, and students. As per these figures, we do not seem to have a problem with regard to the number of teachers in the system. We have in national school, 1 teacher for 20 students. In provincial schools, 1 teacher for every 18 students. And in Pirivanas, 1 teacher for every 10 students. But we all know that we still have a shortage of specialist teachers for subjects such as mathematics, English, and science due to the way in which we appoint teachers. The situation is the same in the national colleges of education as well. This is why I keep stressing that what is important is not the quantity, but the quality of our teaching fraternity. With emphasis now shifting to recruiting only graduates to the teaching profession, one must be mindful of the fact that knowledge alone does not make you a good teacher, or for that matter, just a teacher. Pedagogical skills are very important to be an effective teacher. There should be an aptitude test for all those who seek to enter the teaching system. Or better still, they should be made to follow a minimum 1 year at the NCE or the TTC and sit a qualifying examination to be recruited as teachers. I am tabling for inclusion in the Hansard a document titled Good Teaching, the Top 10 Requirements by Richard LeBlanc of the York University, Ontario, which is enlightening. I am also tabling an article that appeared in the Daily Island of the 19th November titled English Teaching, Why Isn't It Working, by Raquel Selby, an American volunteer teacher. This makes interesting reading for anyone who wants to effect change in the way we do things. The recruitment and distribution of teachers to meet the needs of the schools that has been a perennial problem with negative effects on the quality of education due to political interference in the system. Though there is a national policy on teacher transfers, teachers have stayed rooted in the same schools for over 15 years with no value addition. Transfers of teachers within zones and even within districts are not being effectively done to maximize resources, but done to satisfy the whims of politicians like us. In my view, there should not be any distinction between teachers in national schools and provincial schools. What is required is maximization of resources. We have an added problem today in that we have a severe gender imbalance in the teaching cadre. I believe as of today, more than 70% of the teachers are females. This poses a severe problem, especially in rural areas where they show preference to teach in their hometown, and that too in the school that is closest to their home. There is very little being done with regard to in-service professional education for teachers. They should have a clear established criteria which gives them access to scholarships and exchange programs which exposes them to the changes taking place in the sphere of education in other parts of the world. Their performances need to be assessed professionally, for which principals too need an enhanced role. Anyway, my speech is being cut short, so I will table the balance of my speech and just end up with what Maria Montessori had to say. If education is always to be conceived along the same antiquated lines of a mere transmission of knowledge, there is little to be hoped from it in the bettering of man's future. For what is the use of transmitting knowledge if the individual's total development lags behind? Thank you.
Thank you. Garu